Hello, and welcome to this session on visitor design pattern. This video is part of a 20 hours Udemy course where we cover hundreds of real-world design pattern scenarios. The visitor design pattern is a behavioral design pattern that allows you to separate the structure of an object hierarchy from the operations that can be performed on that hierarchy. It is used when you have a complex object structure composed of different types of objects and you want to define new operations on this structure without modifying the existing classes. In other words, it allows you to add new behavior to existing class hierarchy without altering any existing code. The main idea behind the visitor pattern is to define a separate visitor class that contains the new operations you want to perform on the object structure. This visitor class visits each element of the structure and performs the desired operation on it. The element of the structure accepts the visitor and provides the necessary access to their internal state, allowing the visitor to perform its operation. By using the visitor pattern, you can achieve a clear separation between the object structure and the operations performed on it, making it easier to add new operations without affecting the existing code. This pattern is particularly useful when the object structure is stable, but new operations need to be added frequently. Hello and welcome back. Let's take a look at a real-world code example of a document processor using the visitor design pattern. This code provides a document processing system using the visitor's design pattern. It allows users to create a document with different elements such as paragraph, headings, and images. The document can be processed by various visitors that perform specific operations on the elements. Let's start by instantiating a document class that initializes different elements of a document. This element includes paragraph, headings, and images. We use the add element to add every element that the document implements. And then we also process each element by using the process method, and then we pass in whatever behavior we want each of the elements to implement. If we want the paragraph element to implement a particular behavior, we pass in that behavior, which is the visitor, and then it does that for all the elements that are in the document. Let's also implement each element. I'm going to start by having an interface. Let me do it correctly by adding an abstract class and method to the element abstract class. Then we'll start by implementing each element that the document will take. The first will be the paragraph element, which inherits the document element abstract class, and then it takes in whatever paragraph we want. And like I said, for every element you have to define the accept method, and in this accept method it takes in a visitor, that is the behavior that we want it to use, the behavior that will have the ability to manipulate the paragraph element. That visitor has a visit paragraph method that is going to call. We're going to implement those visitors later. Let's also have another one. The second one will be the heading element. And the heading element also will call the accept method that takes in a visitor, and the visitor also has a visit heading in the visitor class. Then the third implementation is image. The image also implements the document element, and it takes in a source and a text, and then it also calls the accept method. The accept method takes in a visitor, and the visitor has a visit image method. These are all the elements that are defined. That's the paragraph, the heading, and the image are defined as the element. Now let's define the behaviors. I'm going to put that up here. The behaviors of these elements. the visitor, which serves as behavior that each of the elements can visit. So I'm going to start with the abstract class. And in this abstract class, I'm going to call it document visitor. And it's going to have three methods: a visit paragraph method, visit heading, and visit image. All the visitors will implement these three methods. The first action or behavior I want to take is going to be for counting the number of words in the paragraphs and in the heading. So I'm going to call that word count. And word count initializes variable, which is at 0, and it automatically defines the visit paragraph, visit heading, and visit image because it is inheriting the document visitor. This is where we're passing an element, the paragraph element. So we're going to count the number of words that are in the paragraph. We're going to do the same thing for heading. And then for image, we're not going to do anything because we can't count image. So for word count, it's going to be counting for the number of words that are in the paragraph. When it does that, then it increments the word count to whatever word it can count here. This is also done for the heading. We're going to also count the headings, and the value of that is stored in word count. It's going to pass over visit image because we can't count that as a word. Then I'm going to also implement another concrete class that I will call the text formatter. And the text formatter basically changes each text in the elements, that is the paragraph, headings, and image. It changes those texts to an HTML text. So for the first implementation, that is the visit paragraph method, is going to format the text this way, make it a proper paragraph. And also we're going to do for the heading, it's going to print out an H1 heading of whatever value we have in the heading. Lastly, we're also going to have the visit image, and the visit image method of the text formatter will take the image text and the image source, and then it will make an image HTML tag out of it, and then it prints it out. So what we have here is three elements, element 1, 2, 3, that are part of a document. The document takes in whatever number of elements you create, and then it processes it using a particular visitor that you want it to use. And the visitor, which are the behaviors, has three methods to process paragraph, heading, and images. It starts with a word counter, which is a behavior we want to implement. It basically counts the number of words that are in the paragraph and in the heading. And then it has a text formatter that changes whatever text you put in the element, it changes it to an HTML tag. So let's now go to the client code. Let's start by instantiating the document, and then we're going to begin by adding elements. And what we'll do is we'll say document, add element, and then we will add an element. This is a paragraph element we are adding here. I'm just going to add maybe 3 more elements. I have heading element added here. I have image element, and then we have another paragraph. We can process this document with a word count. So the first thing we'll do is to instantiate that word count, which is the visitor. And then on the document, I call the process, which processes the elements in the document and then passes the visitor to it. You can see the process method here. It takes in a visitor, and then for every element that is in the document, this element, it accepts a visitor. It creates the connection between the element and the visitor. And I can just print them out here. I will call the count word variable that is attached to the word counter, and let's see the output. So you can see here, it counted the total word to be 8. That is, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I put another word here, another paragraph 2, it's going to be 9, because that means it counted all of them, 1 and 2. So with this, you can see the count increases because it's counting the total number of words using the behavior, the visitor, to implement the counting. Let's change this to text formatter. Let's instantiate a text formatter and call the document on the text formatter document.process. This time we're going to be putting a text formatter. So with the text formatter, you can see it took all the text The first one, this is a paragraph. It turned it into an HTML. And then the second one, the heading. Oh, it didn't put heading. Okay, let's see. That means in the heading implementation, we must have that is visit heading for the text formatter. We didn't print out the output. So I'm just going to print out the format text so that it prints out the output. So now it's printing out the heading as an H1. So it prints each of them out. For paragraph, it puts a paragraph text. The second one, it puts a H1 tag, and then it makes an image, and then also another paragraph text. Using this document, we are able to send several or different behaviors to the elements, to each of the elements that the document has. The visitor pattern allows us to attach these behaviors and the elements differently, detached from each other. This video is part of a 20 hours Udemy course where we cover hundreds of real-world design pattern scenarios. The course is called Design Pattern in Python with Real-World Code Examples. We showed via practical coding how design pattern is implemented in real-world scenarios like event manager, cache, database connection codes, document management code, creating optimized configuration settings, login frameworks, GUI framework codes, plugin systems, game development codes, payment gateway, document generators, computer graphics generation codes, financial model code pattern, resource pooling, object pooling in ORMs, website creation, database query codes, language translator, web application framework creation, banking system codes, organizational chart creation, file system, interpreter, menu system, text formatting code, authentication code, authorization code, API for OS, document management system, create proxies, event handling, middleware in web development, workflow system, undo redo functionality in apps, job scheduler scenarios, parsers, chart applications, drawing applications, notification system, distributed system, booking system, workflow management system, sorting algorithm, file compression utility, and many more. If you are really serious about your career in programming, you have to get this video. And you don't have to be a Python programmer to use it. Use the link in the description to get the best price for this course on the Udemy platform.